Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ben here. I'm back again today doing another video. And today's video is going to be another potential trades video, and we're going to be talking about Bradley Beal today. I believe he's a player who sooner or later he's gonna want to get out of Washington. I feel like even if John Wall comes back and is healthy, the ceiling for this franchise is probably at this point like a first round exit from the playoffs, and they're kind of just spinning their wheels and are generally directionless right now. So I think a change of scenery could do good for Bradley Beal definitely, and that he could get on a contender. It could also do good for Washington in that it would give them like a proper chance to blow up the team and move forward and try to rebuild. So without further ado, today I'm going to go through some trade scenarios that I've come up for Brad Beal. First, I have a trade of Beal going to Boston, and I have in return Boston giving up Gordon Hayward, Robert Williams, Romeo Langford, and Memphis's first round pick in this year's draft. So why would the Wizards do this? You know, they get back somebody who can basically, for the most part, compensate for some good production that Beal would give them. Like Gordon Hayward in an expanded offensive role right now could give you like 20 points a game, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, which would, make up a good amount of what Bradley Beal is giving you if John Wall comes back too. Also, you get a really nice young front court player in Robert Williams, a guy with a lot of potential and promise in Romeo Langford, and a first round pick that'll probably be around like 14 or 15 with Memphis's first round pick. So you're getting a pretty decent package back. And then for Boston, you're getting Beal back, who I think is definitely an upgrade over Gordon Hayward. And at this point, I feel like um, they need to cash in on some of these young assets that they've been stockpiling, like for instance, all their draft picks and then guys that they recently picked like Williams and Langford. So I think this is a great opportunity to do that, and then you could trot out a core of something like Kemba Walker, Bradley Beal, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum, which to me is a very formidable quartet and even better than the current one with Gordon Hayward in the mix. So I really like the idea of bringing in Brad Beal to Boston. Next, I have one that I think is less likely, and that's Bradley Beal to Los Angeles. So, quickly, I'll just talk about this from the Lakers side because it makes a lot of sense for them and it's real quick and easy. They're essentially looking for a third player to complete their big three, so I have him going to the Lakers, and the pieces that they're giving up, despite it being a lot of depth, I think that they're still getting the best player in the trade, and it makes sense for them to do it. For Washington, they're getting some nice young pieces in a first round pick in the future and Kuzma, and then they're just getting a lot of good wing depth. And if they're trying to kind of be remain a playoff contender but also look towards the future, this kind of can accomplish both those things. You get a nice 3 and D players in KCP and Danny Green. You also get a good wing defender in Avery Bradley, whose offense is more shaky, but his perimeter defense is really solid. And then nice young assets, as I said, in Kuzma, who could be like an 18 point per game scorer if given an expanded role, and the first round pick in the future. Next, I have Bradley Beal going to Philly. And as you can see the trade package on screen, I have Bradley Beal in Philly for Horford, Richardson, and Shake Milton. And from Washington's perspective, you again can kind of rebuild on the fly while staying in contention once John Wall comes back. Because Josh Richardson and Shake Milton, although they are younger than Bradley Beal, but they're also guys who can contribute to contending right now, as we've already seen on Philadelphia. Neither of them are as good as Bradley Beal, so that's why I have them both going. And then also Horford is to make the salaries match, and also because he is still a competent NBA player despite him looking worse on Philly this year. I think he was just put in a weird position having to full-time play power forward next to a floor clogger like Embiid. But I think in Washington, if he could go back to playing center, he would do a lot better, which he would be allowed to do. From Philly's perspective, you give up some depth for sure, but I think you again get back the best player in the trade, and you can try a core or a like your death lineup could be something like Simmons, Beal. You'd also have Harrison and Embiid out there, and then probably at this point, Matisse Thybulle, I guess I would say, or Alec Burks, depending on who they retain in the offseason. But Yeah, that would probably be like your death lineup, so to speak, and they'd probably have to get some like veteran free agent signings to make up for the lack of depth on the roster after acquiring Beal. Next, I have Bradley Beal going to Dallas to team up with Luka and Porzingis, and again, I kind of have a Mavs giving up depth in order to get Bradley Beal, Wizards taking back depth, which will allow them to both remain contenders at the moment, but also be contenders in the future. I have Dallas giving up a future first round pick, a really young Dorian Finney-Smith, who I believe is like 21 or 22, Dwight Powell, who is also only like 26, which is actually still younger than Bradley Beal, and then also Tim Hardaway Jr., who I believe is like in the 26-27 range. So all the players are either same age as Beal or younger, along with a first round pick. Tim Hardaway Jr. with an expanded offensive role can still give you like 20 points per game. Dorian Finney-Smith can hopefully continue to develop and to me become sort of like a Trevor Ariza type in his prime. And Dwight Powell is just a really solid option who I believe you could either start or make a six man as a center in a lineup. And for the Mavericks, you can tout out a lineup of probably something like Porzingis. Honestly, once you got Luka, Porzingis, and Bradley Beal, I think the rest would just figure itself out. Even though they're giving up quite a bit of depth here, they'd still have Seth Curry in this scenario. You'd still have wing guys like Justin Jackson and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist that you could fill in at like small forward or power forward if you needed to. You'd still have Willie Cauley-Stein and uh, Boban Marjanovic if you want to slide Porzingis to the 4 and have one of those guys play the 5. You still got options even though you give up quite a bit of depth. And then I believe this is the last trade I had lined up for Bradley Beal. I have him going to the Rockets because, again, they might be trying to complete a big 3, which they don't currently really have. I have the Rockets giving up a first rounder, Robert Covington, Ben McLemore, and Eric Gordon. Why would the Rockets or why would Washington do this? This is probably one of the less likely scenarios that they'd agree to because Gordon is like 30 years old, Ben McLemore is like 25, I believe. Robert Covington's like 28. Um, so it's not like you're getting a ton younger. You are getting a first round pick and Ben McLemore, who's had a resurgent season when everybody thought he was done for. So those two pieces are nice, but um, you know, between Eric Gordon and Robert Covington, you're still kind of forcing your team to contend right now. But hey, between those two guys, they're cheaper than Bradley Beal, and they can basically make up what he's doing. Eric Gordon could put up like 18 a game, and Robert Covington can put up like 14. That equates to what Bradley Beal was producing, plus you get better wing defense in Robert Covington. So it's not like a ridiculous trade necessarily. Why would the Rockets do it? Because I think they're too in love with small ball and they just love the idea of being able to basically have 3 like all NBA caliber guards on the court at the same time. And they would be really good offensively, like next level basically. Um, that's all the trade scenarios I got today for Bradley Beal, guys. If you want to watch more trade videos, there are more on the channel. And I will see you next time. Bye.